And welcome back. Yes, now this week's going to be pretty quick because look, all I've got on my desk is a little box containing some resistors. Yeah, what's it all about? Yes, now my workshop is currently being sort of revamped a little bit, right? I've been in here about a year and things that initially got put up haven't worked out quite so well. For example, look at that bit of video there that was taken when the workshop was being almost constructed, really. Those orange boxes that I put up along one wall, they didn't work out so well for two reasons. One, they took up a whole wall. B, they eventually gathered lots of dust and debris because I was still screwing holes in the ceiling and whatnot. And thirdly, the transfer of those boxes from my previous workshop to this one meant that things got jiggled about, moved about. I never really had the time to re-look at them, to put the right components in the right box. And at the end of the day, how many DS3231 real-time clock items do you need, and why do you need them always contained in an orange box? So I took the plunge and I thought, enough. Okay, that lot can all be taken off the wall, packed up. They're actually in my attic now, nicely stored. And I said to my wife, if they're still sitting there in 2 years' time, we're going to get rid of them, even though they're perfectly okay. But so what I've done now, as you can see from that photograph, there we are. Look, you see, it's much neater now. I've got lots of little storage boxes, and it just seems to work better since I put those up. They've probably been up about a month now. It's worked. It's worked well, and of course I've got the rest of the wall, that side now, where the orange boxes were also on, for more shelves and more boxes should I need them. Quite honestly, at the moment, I don't, but I'm going to leave that bit of wall space free, okay? Because wall space comes at a premium, which is what this is all about. So I was thinking, what do I do about this horrible, absolutely horrible resistor storage cabinet that I've got? Let me just drop in a quick picture of what it looks like. I want to do a quick shout out to PCBWay, PCB prototype the easy way. Now specifically, I want to have a look at that thing at the top that says price reduced for the 4 and 6 layer PCBs. That is an offer you don't want to miss. And remember that PCBWay has now got a massive range of services just right for prototyping and small business runs. Let's have a look. PCBWay can do prototype PCB assembly up to 20 pieces for just $30. Now that is an offer you might want to explore as well, especially small businesses. And don't struggle with all those little tiny SMT components, get PCBWay to do it for you. Look, if you choose the assembly, you get free shipping. It virtually pays for itself, doesn't it? And as an added incentive, just to try out the services, if you've got a small production run, prototyping run, something like that, if you spend over $40 on the product, you can get $10 off, like this. Now here's how to claim your $10. Just go to your My Coupons tab on your page, your account page, add in PCBWay8.RSB on your redeem coupons, click it, and you've got 3 months in which to save you $10. That's a pretty good offer. Go and use it, don't lose it. PCBWay, worth trying out. Now, as you can see, it's up against the wall. Not screwed to the wall though, and in front of that there are some screwdrivers, so it's awkward to get the stuff out of those little drawers anyway because you've got to pull the screwdrivers forward. But worst thing of all is that those little drawers there, even though there's 2 values of resistor per drawer, as like the one shown on the workbench here, most of the space is air, isn't it? So I've got this box here, look, and most of it is air. So I've got a box of air really with just a few resistors in the bottom, and that's pretty inefficient. And I thought, how can I change this? And I'm not kidding. I've spent months thinking about this, about what I could do and where I could move the resistors to. SMD resistors, of course, are child's play in comparison. Now, this is a book of SMD resistors, every single value you can think of. I don't know if it's the E48 series or something. Resistor values start from E12, which is, well, 12 values, and they're huge jumps in between. And it goes E24, 48, 96, and I think there's even something beyond 96. And the reason for that is because when you're working with resistors with a 10% tolerance, you don't need something that close to the previous value. But these days, we seem to be working more and more with sort of 1%, even though it says, actually on here I've just noticed, plus or minus 5%. But the closer the tolerance, the more resistors you need to fill in the gaps. So anyhow, these are all SMD resistors, and each one of these comes on like a strip. If I just take one out, see, there's a strip, and those little square dots there, that is the actual resistor. Now, anybody who's ever used one of these knows that as soon as you peel back the paper keeping all these in the strip, about 4 of them fall out straight away, never to be seen again. I don't know if the world's knee deep in SMD resistors at the moment, but you always lose a couple. Even if you're really careful and you pick them up with tweezers, suddenly, ding, it just, you've squeezed it too hard and it's shot off into the, I don't know where. This floor, even though it's vacuumed quite regularly, is probably covered in little SMD resistors. So yeah, but SMD resistors, of course, look, I mean, that's the whole set in that one book. Right, I've had this for a little while now. So that's fine, but what about my existing problem then? Right, so I scoured the internet looking for some sort of resistor storage solution. Of course, you get pretty much what I've got already coming up time and time again for industrial use, or at least commercial use. Maplins, if I remember, had these sort of drawers, dozens and dozens, or hundreds probably, behind them in the place where I used to live. Every single component under the sun. But not for me. So I eventually found somebody that said, hey, I've got a great idea for this. And he had actually implemented it. What he'd bought was a set of test tubes. I think they were 17mm diameter test tubes. So not like this, though. They were test tubes with a rounded bottom so that, you couldn't stand them up. They'd fall over. A bit like what you get at school or university, yeah. So they're proper test tubes. And I think he bought or made or did something with a bung in the top here. But I thought, yeah, the idea is a good one, but of course I want to be able to stand my tubes up if I'm going to get them. As you can see, I have. So I found these ones, and they weren't particularly cheap. I think it was about 25 quid for 50 or something. But these are 30mm diameter. And I found that to be ideal because I've got a lot of resistors laid out flat in my drawer at the moment. I'll show you those if I can find them. Oh, there they are. Just a minute. Right, so this is my drawer containing, as it says on the front there, resistors. And as you can see, when you buy them from Banggood or AliExpress, wherever you buy them, they send them to you in these sort of strips where they've got them literally by the million. Yeah, obviously through-hole stuff. They kindly do print the value on, but trying to find your particular value amongst all these is pretty difficult. So something had to be done. Now, what the chap I saw suggested was that you get these. He says you probably get about 10 in a strip. Of course, obviously I've got far more than 10. And he says you literally just roll them up like this. Yeah, you get the idea. You roll them all up and basically stuff them in one of those tubes. Well, I did a couple of experiments and I found that 30mm is what I needed to put a strip in like that. These are a little bit tall perhaps, but that doesn't matter, I don't think. And these ones comes with a nice screw cap as well, so when you're using them you can always stand them up that way if you want, but they do stand up the other way as well. Now the second problem then was, where do you store these? These have got to go somewhere, haven't they? And I thought, right, I know what to do. Get a sheet of Perspex or something like that, drill a lot of 30mm holes in, or ideally get them drilled for you. With a sheet underneath, separate the two, so you've got the upper tray with the holes in, the bottom tray without any holes in, a bit like a test tube stand. And Bob's your uncle. Except that Uncle Robert wasn't playing games with me this week. No, to get something like that was impossible off any store I could find, including eBay. And the one place that had a sort of a rack arrangement for 30mm tubes like this cost something like 50 quid or something. It's just madness. So I thought, no, I'll make my own. So I thought, I've got some thin plywood or even MDF or anything like that really would work. Drill the holes in the front, or the top I should say, and just slot them in and have them standing up like that. Be ideal. So I went out to my little wood store at the back of my workshop to find out what I got, because I knew I'd had some stuff. Because I thought, even if you haven't got any 2 or 3mm thin stuff, perhaps I could use thicker stuff, 6mm MDF or even 18mm ply. I mean, what does it matter? As long as these sit in it and don't fall about the place, it would be ideal, wouldn't it? But of course, what I found amongst all my stuff was this stuff. Now, this is cut, and it's 32mm push fit overflow pipe or waste water pipe, right, which you can buy from Screwfix or B&Q in the UK. I'm sure that the equivalent DIY store has something like that in America. And as it happens, just pure coincidence, that the internal diameter of this was 30mm, and these just fitted in, look, like a glove. And I thought, do you know what? I think that's the answer. I'll just cut these about that long so you can still see a bit of the label on the side there, so that you can label it up, and then I can put all these, well, glue them all together, you know, get a whole bunch of them, glue them up, and stick them on my shelf or something like that. But I didn't need to. Here, next to me, which you're about to see, is the solution. So what I ended up with eventually is all those little bits of this cut off, put into here, this box, which is exactly the right size. Look, so you've got room to put the lid on as well, and they don't fall about. They all sit there quite happily. I've just done one here to test it out, so that's 39 ohm. Yeah, take that out, and it's got 39 ohm on the side as well, which you can read even above the holder there like that. So when that's on my workbench, I'm not going to match, you know, I'm not going to lose the cap for the actual tube itself. So that then goes in there, and even if you take 2 or 3 of these out, they're still going to stay there. All the rest are going to stay nice and vertical by virtue of these little bits of tube that I've cut off. Yeah. Now I used a circular saw for that. What do you call it? One of those plunge saws that you just pull down. A sliding mitre saw, is it? Don't know. Anyway, scares the willies out of me. Believe me, it could chop your fingers off just like that. But I've used it actually to construct most of the inside of this workshop. Without it, I don't know what I would have done. But anyway, I used that. It was a little bit, how can I say, vicious for this, and occasionally it would ruin one of the tubes. Like just as an instance, it took a chunk out of this one. Look, but I should have had a much smoother, thinner blade. But I wasn't going to go out and buy a blade for 20 quid just to do this. So anyway, that's what I used. So I cut them all up, and if you've got some other different sort of cutting mechanism, a hacksaw would work. Frankly, it was just a little bit slow for me. So, and I think this is going to work. Now in here, I can't remember how, I'm sure you can count them all up. But I think there's like 25. Oh, all right, let me count them up, and I'll speed up the video. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, there's about 28 in there, right? So that's already the E24 series covered, but I think I've got more than that. So I'll probably need 2 boxes like this if I'm going to put all those resistors in that drawer that you saw into these boxes. And these fit perfectly on my shelves, because basically I bought these to fit the shelves, or perhaps I made the shelves to fit these. I can't remember which way around it was now. But anyway, these come with a lid as well, by the way. There's a plastic lid that snaps on here to keep all the dust out. And I think, given the fairly small amount of construction work I do, would you believe, this is ideal. I can just get my boxes out. I don't even have to keep them in order. I mean, whether, you know, if there's 4 meg in here and 10k in here and 6.8k there, does it matter? I mean, just got to scan across. I'll probably keep low values in one box and the higher values in the other box that's yet to be made. But I think this is probably it. So finally, I can get rid of that, that awful thing that's on the wall. And I've literally had it for, I suspect, a bit of a guesswork now, but it must be 30 years. I bought it as a young man, a child almost. Yes, I know. 30 years I've had that, and I labelled it all up. And you can see that the labelling on that is actually one of those, I don't know what you call them. Was it a dymo? I think it was a dymo where you put the tape into the machine, and you pressed a trigger, and it squeezed the plastic and made it go white. I mean, you just can't even get anything like that these days. But it stood the test of time, I must admit, and it's worked in as much that I could always find the right resistor value. But storing 99% air and 1% resistor was not really where I wanted to continue with my new workshop. So there we are. So that is my solution for the resistor problem. Now, if you've got a different solution for storing resistors, a bit late for me, but other people read these comments, don't they? In fact, thousands of people read them and hundreds of people leave comments. So if you've got any solutions that you have that are better than that horrible cabinet on the wall, please put a comment down below and explain how you do it. Pity there's not something like that little booklet, isn't there, for through-hole components, because it just makes life so much easier. Still, I'll be interested to see how everybody else does it. So don't forget, put a comment down below. Tell me how you store your resistors. Do you even use through-hole? Have you got any through-hole? Or have you got so few you only use them on things like breadboards like this? Okay, very quick update. Oh, no, time's beaten us. What? All right, very, very quick update on the 74HC595 8-bit level shifter. I know, drop that into the conversation at your next soiree and see how many people walk away. Basically, it accepts a pulse of signal pulse, basically from the Arduino at the back there, you can barely see it, and then puts it out onto a parallel 8-bit bus that drives those 7-segment LEDs. You can see I've got a little test program running at the moment that goes through every single segment just to test it. There we go, look, it goes round. It then displays something like 42, 4, and that moves over here, and the 2 goes there, and then we get 36 in one go with a decimal point. So I've figured out how to do all that, and I'd just like to tell you how easy this was and how straightforward. I really would like to tell you that. Unfortunately, it's not true. There were some trials and tribulations, and I probably wasted about 5 hours trying to get this working and thinking, I've blown up one of those ICs, haven't I? I've done something silly. I've blown it up, so I desoldered it, and I must tell you how I'm doing the desoldering. It's absolute child's play, believe me. Ooh, very windy in here all of a sudden. Yeah, absolute child's play. I'll tell you that in the next video when we cover this. Soldered a new one on, so it became that one there. Same problem. What on earth is going on? I mean, how difficult can it be to drive this 74HC5? Well, more difficult than you might think. But all it meant was I'd forgotten or hadn't appreciated you need to drive one of these pins high to keep the thing working. Okay, all that is in a future video, but as you can see now, I've got the thing running. I can display whatever digit I want on each one. So when my little tiny weeny incy bincy LEDs arrive from wherever it is I've ordered them from, somewhere in the Far East, hopefully I'll be able to design a PCB, put this on, write a very simple library to say display this value on the first LED, the second value on the second LED, quits, and then plug that into whichever project I want. Yeah. Talking of which, your suggestions how to display the error on my last video, great. Lots of what's the word? Singing off the same hymn sheet, I think, really. Lots of people are saying log it to EEPROM or to SD card. Things like that, which is great, which is the way I guess it should be done, so we can read that back next time the Arduino starts up and go, oh look, all this stuff I've got to tell you, either via the serial port or a little screen or something. Yeah, I'm actually still going through the comments now. But I'll be looking at that in a bit more detail and coming back to you on that as well. But at least this is now moving forward. And by the time I get the LEDs, 7-segment LEDs, plus write the library, I think it'll be quite a slick little thing to add in, well, at least to some of my projects, if not all of them. So there we are. Great. Okay. I think that'll do for this week. Nice and short, as I told you it would be. Yeah. So if you've got any comments either about the resistor thing or indeed this project here, great. Put them down there. And if you were mildly entertained or informed or whatever, don't forget, yeah, like it, and please subscribe. But don't forget, you got to tick the bell as well, or you'll never hear from me. You might have subscribed, but you'll never know that there's another video out. Yeah, and things are a bit haphazard at the moment because I'm doing lots of other stuff. Oh yeah, by the way, this video is the first video I'm recording on my new PC. Now there's a question for you. Should I do a video about the PC? Because obviously I had to learn an awful lot about current PC hardware and how it relates to Windows 11 and stuff, because I like to make informed decisions, as you can imagine. Should I do a video on that, or just think it's not really Arduino related, let's just forget about it? I think I'd like to make a video because I had to learn stuff and I watched a lot of videos, but Anyway, your comments on that would be good for me. Great stuff. Don't forget what I just said about subscribing and liking. Okay, see you in the next video. I hope you're finding these videos useful and interesting. There are plenty more videos to choose and a couple are shown below. And if you'd like to subscribe to this channel, just click on my picture below and enjoy the rest of the videos. Thanks for watching.